welcome back to Get Stuck In. Loads to preview as ever. This show that in the next 20 minutes, maybe half an hour, we're going to fit in everything from the horse racing world. Look back a little bit with the big question. That question will be, is Jerry Colm a Gold Cup horse? Has Gordon Elliott unearthed another one? Martin Dixon and Dan Barber will be along to answer that. What's your thoughts? Get in touch with some really good feedback last week as well. Later in the show, I'm not allowed to speak to Patrick Mullins, but if you keep watching the show, you will hear Director Dave asking him all the questions. Got a live one in the Greatwood hurdle to watch that. So yeah, plenty going on. Stick with us. We're going to go around the yards very shortly. One of the success stories last jump season was the Real Whacker, trained by Patrick Neville, who's now based in North Yorkshire. First question, how is he? How's his summer, Patrick?
Yeah, very good, Niall. He summered well. He had a good break. He came back in there, I think, towards the end of July, maybe. Yeah, he had a good couple of months out. And, he strengthened up a lot, filled into his frame, and we're happy with him.
Am I right in saying you ride him out a lot?
Yeah, I ride him every day.
Yeah? So you should know.
Yeah, he's a funny kind of a horse. He just wants to get on with it.
Yeah.
So he's tricky enough, but he's fine.
Do you know when you reflect on last season and you see like what he done, the Brown Advisory, and time goes by, Jerry Colm, obviously what he done last weekend. Maximus finished fourth in the Brown Advisory, came out and won an Irish Grand National. You know, it's just rock solid form.
It was a very good race actually on the day. Very good. It worked out well afterwards. The form has worked out well. He's due back. He's running on Saturday, so Jerry Colm had a good win last Saturday, so that has worked out well. We're looking forward to him on Saturday. Now it's his first run of the season, and he's ready for it. So he will improve from the run, you know.
Yeah, and like for you, for people who are just tuning in, maybe who don't know, like you're obviously doing well in your native Ireland, but you came across to North Yorkshire, just outside Midland and Constable Burton, share a yard with Anne Duffield and Phil Macon. To have a horse like him, the magnitude of it's massive, isn't it?
Massive, yeah. It was great. I brought him with me, so it was great. I came over with I think about 8 horses, and he was one of them. So he was with a good first season, and we built it from there. So we're building away slowly. We're trying to keep more quality than quantity. Yeah. So he's a great horse to have. Yeah.
And Sam Twiston-Davis, right in saying he was up a couple of weeks ago, had a sit on him.
He did, yeah, and Sam was delighted with him. Yeah, he met out. He'd filled out a lot and strengthened up a lot. So hopefully he will improve another little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. Any thoughts? Hopefully, if everything goes well Saturday, where from here to March, where you might try and go with him.
Yeah, we have an entry into King George at Christmas, so hopefully over Saturday and all going well, we'll aim for there.
Good.
So, and probably that's it until March.
Right.
Probably the main aim is the Gold Cup with him.
Yeah. He's been some story. He's been unbelievable. You've done great by him. Hopefully there's a few more chapters left in his book. We wish you all the best, not just for Saturday, but for the whole season, Patrick.
Thank you very much, Niall.
I wish you well, Patrick. As Patrick Neville, he's got a big chance with the Real Whacker. What a story he was last season, and much more to come. Hopefully, right. He's in Midland. Let's go to Leicestershire, to Laura Morgan, who's got 2 live chances. And Laura, it must be fantastic to go to Cheltenham, big handicap, with real hope.
Yeah, fantastic now going there with 2 horses in such a big race on a Saturday for such a small yard. So yeah, no, it's great.
And let's start with Notlongtillmay, a horse who's still very unexposed.
Yeah, no, he is. He came to us and he was very free, and he's learnt to settle a lot better. I think this year anyway. And I think last year probably placed him very well, but the manner in which he was sort of winning, especially like the twice at Musselburgh, it was seriously impressive. And the run in the Turners was unbelievable, especially off level weights.
And how long has this been the plan?
Yeah, this has pretty much been the plan, this year anyway. So it was just, obviously I've got that prep run into him at Cheltenham over 2. It's obviously on the short side, and he went into it a lot bigger than I probably wanted to, but he's strip fitter for that.
And your horses are running better now.
Yeah, no, they are. We had a bit of a quiet spell there, but they're running a lot better now. And no, fingers crossed. He seems in great form. He blew out there this morning, so hopefully, yeah.
And whistling in the dark, he's 4 from 4 over fences. We haven't seen him since last April. Has this always been the plan?
Yeah, no, this was the target. And yeah, again, he was very progressive. Came to me sort of rated 108. I never thought he'd improve as much as he did last season. But no, this is the target. But I think probably in time he will want further. So he also has an entry in the Beecher. So yeah.
And for you, isn't it fair to say you've changed a little bit your sort of the way you're going about things? Less summer jumping, trying to get more quality into the yard.
Trying to, yeah. I think probably in previous years, maybe I haven't bought maybe as well as what I have this year. And this year as well, we've got a hell of a lot of 3-year-olds. We've probably got 10 3-year-olds.
Right.
So just trying to get a bit more quality really in the yard rather than, it's fine summer jumping and, getting winners, but we just wanted to try and get a bit more quality and just be able to, have them runners on a Saturday and go and compete with the big trainers. So fingers crossed.
Okay, good luck to Patrick Neville and to Laura Morgan. A couple of live chances in the Paddy Power. We're going to hear more from the Paddy Power, what's going to win it with Martin Dixon and Dan Barber. But at the top of the programme, we asked the question, has Gordon Elliott, who had an average weekend last weekend, unearthed another Gold Cup horse in Jerry Colm? Has he?
Obviously it's possible. He's got the style, but I do think there was some overreaction in the aftermath. On bare form, a defeat of Envoy Allen, conflated in a bunch finish. I know the track probably wasn't ideal. Is that really Gold Cup calibre form? I think he's still got a lot to find with Shishkin, my fancier last week, a lot to find with Galopin de Champs, and maybe a bit to find with Mile of Mission as well.
Yeah, I mean, I took a different view of it, to be fair, Niall. I think the Envoy Allen and Conflated, you can sort of knock them to some extent, I get that, but they are multiple Grade 1 winners between them, aren't they? And I think that 3 miles around Down Royal, small field, where they didn't tear off. Conflated set the pace, he set an honest enough gallop, but he didn't sort of go flying off. And I don't think it was a test that necessarily was premium for Jerry Colm, but he still managed to beat a horse in Envoy Allen who was good enough to win a Grade 1. Well, he won that race last year, but he also won the Ryanair, didn't he?
And Envoy Allen at that meeting the last 4 or 5 years has been very good on that day.
Yeah, so I think I agree with Dan in terms of the bare form, but I would be more positive about Jerry in terms of the fact that he did manage to win the race under those conditions and still beat, not necessarily horses of the calibre that he's going to have to beat if Galopin de Champs is on song and maybe a Shishkin in a Gold Cup, but still I think he proved plenty to me to manage to get that job done.
He does fit that bill, doesn't he? If people say Gold Cup horse, you think of the thing that's still going to be galloping relentlessly at the end of 3 1/4 miles. Yeah, I'm sure he is that. I just wondered, it was price-wise, was a slight overreaction, and the aftermath really. I mean, it was a race which I think any leading Gold Cup contender should have been winning, and possibly winning a bit more impressively.
Yeah, one thing that impresses me about him is that he's got to the level that he's got to, while all the time leaving the impression at the end of his races that there's a bit more to come. And I think as stamina's drawn out, it's going to be a big factor to him potentially being and the price thing, you couldn't back him now. I mean, what's going to change really? I mean, I don't see him as a horse that's going to come out and absolutely pulverise them in a Grade 1 over the next 2 or 3 months.
I think he could beat at Leopardstown Christmas. I was really positive, not saying compared to you, I was really positive about last Saturday. I could see him get beat at Leopardstown at Christmas, and I could see him win a Gold Cup in March.
Yeah,
if I was given a free ticket, say you've got to back Jerry Colm this season in another race, do you want to back him and try and get your money at Christmas? It's only 5-6 weeks away, or do you want to wait longer and back him to win a Gold Cup?
He could easily drift out again. So I wouldn't back him now, but I definitely think he is a Gold Cup candidate.
I do,
and not much is going to change my mind on that unless he completely blows out somewhere in the next couple of months.
There's something for the national later on, wouldn't he, if he could do? I mean, he does look a horse like, I mean, you know Gordon like the back of your hand, but Gordon loves that race evidently. Is there a horse in training at the minute at the top end who you think would be more suited by that sort of test? I can't really think of one.
Okay, that's what they think. What do you think? Do get in touch with us. We had lots of comments last week, some very good comments as well. Get in touch. Is Jerry Colm a Gold Cup horse? Let us know. Right, next section, Team Tracker. We're going to give you horses. Well, I'm not. They are. to keep an eye on the short to medium term. Martin Dixon, start with you.
Well, we were Ludlow last Thursday, Niall. I saw 2 horses I think are worth following for the season. Tighten Our Belts, won a handicap chase. Lovely horse, isn't he? Pricked his ears in the paddock, big good-looking chaser. Couldn't have taken to chasing any better. It was first time over fences, and from pretty much after 2 or 3 fences you knew that he was going to take a lot of beating, and he kept on jumping well, going with real enthusiasm all the way through the race. He was winning a handicap of mid-120s, but he was top weight and he destroyed them, and I wouldn't be surprised if he was a horse that could maybe get into graded novice races potentially as the season goes on. They might even do it short term potentially, try and win one of the small field graded races, but I do like him a lot. And the other one at Ludlow last week was Hunter Legend of Venetia Williams, his handicap chase, a much lower level, rated around 100. That'll have gone up this week, but look, this is a horse that's ready to win next
Over
time
further.
I would say. Probably, he needs to go up in trip a little bit. It was that got him beat last week. He was running over 2 miles. Last season he was 2.5 miles, shaping like he would stay further. So I was impressed with the fact that he could go as close as he did on his chase debut, despite racing over an inadequate trip. But he's going to be a short price, I would say, wherever he turns up next, I would guess, because just the level of racing that he's in and the sort of obvious potential that he's got. So it's not going to be any credit if he only wins 1, but I think he's a horse that might be able to win 3 or 4 through the season.
Okay, 2 there from last week.
I don't like those 2, to be honest, but I'll keep the tracking tracker. When I was at Warwick last week, it was a pretty good day for the Skeltons in a slightly mixed start to the season, it's possibly fair to say, but they had Smurfette finish 4th in the novice hurdle. She's a mare. She shaped well in 2 bumpers. She can run in mares only company next time. She came from a long way back. Races as ever at Warwick was dominated by those that were handy. And then they unleashed a really exciting mare in the final race as well. Let It Rain won the bumper. Yeah, went right the outside. The ground might have been better out there, but so too did the runner-up and other principals, and she just absolutely obliterated them. You know, not often on really testing ground, wherever the track, you see a horse really accelerating late on at the end of a race, and that's exactly what she did. I suspect we'll be seeing her up in grade as well. Is that listed race, isn't there, for mares at Cheltenham? December time.
Skeltons, I'm working off the top of my head here, but bumper horses, I tend to think that they do okay in bumpers and they have the odd winner, but they don't. It's not like Fergal O'Brien, Anthony Honeyball, some of those yards that you sort of have everything revved up to win them.
I think you could track it on a graph, and there was a period where I thought in bumpers I wouldn't entertain the horses often because they were sort of means to an end. Then, particularly like Weatherby ones, they were great. They'd win those. They had a real upsurge maybe 2 seasons ago. Maybe it quietened down a bit last year. But yeah, she showed a lot, the first one, in bumpers, which to your point is a positive. And this one won a bumper impressively. And fair to say the owner left a bit richer than he arrived at the racetrack, judged on his move up and down the rails after racing.
You got the tracker off the mark last week as well, didn't you?
Yeah,
chock-a-block.
Massive price one. We got 7 to 4.
Scraping home.
Yeah.
4 to 7. I think.
4 to 7. Yeah, that's the one.
All count. Winners are winners. Okay, there's a few horses for the tracker, as I say, for the short to medium future. Keep them, and hopefully we'll show a profit. Okay, Director Dave's been on. He wants us to talk about the Cheltenham Festival again, because it is November. He wants us to talk about the Queen Mother Champion Chase. Well, not again, we didn't do it, but we're doing it now. Martin Dixon?
Well, first thing to say is that we've got the Schloe Chase on Sunday at Cheltenham. That's going to be a first sort of key indication of where these champion chase horses are at, and we've got John Bond set to take on Edwardstone at Cheltenham on Sunday. So I actually look at the anti-post market at the moment. I think Edwardstone's sort of overlooked in that to some extent. He's still a very good horse. I know he disappointed at the festival last year, but the run behind Editor de Gite when he had a Nergamen behind him before that was a really good run. He won the Tingle Creek impressively, and he's been a very good top 2 mile chaser for the last 2 seasons, hasn't he? So I think he'll be thereabouts again in terms of the shake-up when it comes to March, and he might be one that just ends up sort of shortening up in terms of his price over the course of the season. Obviously El Fabiolo's in there as a strong favourite.
It's hard enough to find what might run, isn't it? You go through the list of horses, a lot of these are established also runs, the likes of Blue Lord. We know enough about those. I'm not going to say anybody should go out and back an even money chance at Cheltenham now, but there is a very strong possibility that El Fabiolo, if all goes well, is 2-3s on the day. I mean, it wouldn't take much, would it? If Edwardstone chins John Bon on Sunday, who's to say Nicky doesn't say, well, we're going up in trip now, we're going up to 2.5, turn him into a Ryanair horse. Immediately, the clear second favourites out of the picture. So El Fabiolo, we know he's an extremely good horse, extremely good. The physique to keep him progressing as well, massive engine on him. If he's in one piece, he's very likely to win. I think he'll just kick them out of the way. But again, await the comments when somebody finds out that you said this even money chance in November. Direct to
I think you can get a bigger price than evens, maybe.
Yeah, 11 to 10.
You shouldn't be able to, Martin.
Okay, yeah, he was so impressive, wasn't he, in the Sporting Life Arkle last year. Once again, we invite you. What's your thoughts? Any sort of left field that you think that could run well at a price? Do let us know. Okay, it's now time something for the weekend, and what a weekend it promises to be, with 3 days at Cheltenham and excellent stuff over in Ireland as well. We'll be hearing from Patrick Mullins in due course about that. But let's start with you, Dan. Give us a winner.
Yeah, well, maybe I should be once bitten, twice shy, because the canal turn got in the way of last week's fancy in the big handicap half shot. But I'm going to have a crack at both the Paddy Power and the Greatwood this week. Paddy Power, I like the claims of Unexpected Party. It's a really good renewal. You've got proper Grade 1 horses in it. The real whackers go in, Stage Stars go in. But Unexpected Party left the impression that anything he did last season, he was going to build on this. And he's already lowered the colours of Nappers Hill. Thought he was on a good mark in the Paddy Power. And I love the horse, Lucia. I think she's a smashing mare, really strong traveller, loads of ability. She goes in the Greatwood on Sunday. I really liked the way she went through the Wetherby race, and I just thought the ground blunted her. I'm hopeful that off a mark in the mid-130s, when you consider her novice form, the third at Aintree was a smashing run, where she went a 7-2 to beat horse of that calibre. I thought she was the best handicapped horse in the race potentially, as long as she can prove that a quick turnaround isn't a problem.
And in the Greatwood, we'll stick with the Greatwood. I thought Nemean Lion had a good chance. I know he's towards the head of the market, but I think he very much deserves to be. I'd be surprised if he wasn't right in the mix, to be honest. Just a very straightforward, likeable, honest horse. He's already got a run behind him this season, which was a win in the Welsh Champion. I was a bit surprised the handicapper took quite a light view of the race. They only put him up 5. Any harm in asking, who's also going to run on Sunday, he got put up 4 for finishing second. I think they could have both gone a bit higher, to be honest. And Nemean Line, as I say, is just a progressive, likeable horse and very straightforward in terms of how he's ridden and everything. He's not going to be reliant on luck. He races up there with a pace. So I'd be very strong on him each way. I think you'll collect a profit. I think he's about a 7-1 shot at the moment, and a very good chance of winning the race. And a horse to keep an eye on as well. No prices. This is at a minor meeting. Wetherby or Utoxeter, a good friend of mine, Rob Oliver, has a horse called Start in Front with Rebecca Menzies, and he's done really well over the summer for his break, and they do expect a good run from him on Saturday in whichever race they decide to go for. So he's a 4-year-old that I think is well handicapped, and they're happy with him. Okay,
thanks, Martin. Yeah, we'll find out Thursday morning where that horse goes. Check declarations just after 10 o'clock, and do let us know what you fancy for this weekend as we're about to cross the RAC. Well, I'm not allowed to speak to Patrick Mullins. Director Dave does.
Well, Patrick, the season's starting to get into full swing. Il Atlantique, a horse I know you really like. How taken were you with that winning at novice hurdling debut at the weekend?
Sure, it was perfect. It was an ideal start. He was obviously very soft ground. He I think enjoys that. The 2 winners bumpers he got beaten on, I think the ground had dried up a bit. He didn't really let himself down when he had to quicken, but he jumped fantastically, he settled well, and he saw out the race really well. He ended up winning by a huge margin. So I think Paul was particularly taken with him.
And what about Sir Gerhard? Willie said in his column he wanted to get him going now to find out whether it was chasing or hurdling for him this season. Where would you be at the minute?
Yeah, look, I think he had jumped brilliantly up until then. Paul said it was as good a spin as he ever got off him, but he obviously just got the second last wrong. They ended up taking those fences out later in the day, and there was a few fallers on the day. Look, he's quite sore afterwards, but I don't think there's anything serious. But I suppose after getting that fall, I think we'll have to consider going back maybe over hurdles. But look, we'll give him a couple of weeks to get over that. It was a nasty fall. But definitely we'll have to consider going back over hurdles. But at the same time, he had jumped well up until then, so you could forgive him that. It wasn't a bad round of jumping, which was going one way, but it wasn't an ideal start to the season.
What about the winner, Dino Blue? She looks tailor-made for those big mares chases later on in the campaign.
She does. She obviously ran into Impervious in Cork last year, but got Impervious to pull out all the stops. She jumps very well, although her jumping did let her down at the Cheltenham Festival this year at the last 2. I think she'd have gone very close only for that. And she's still a young mare. She's entitled to be improving. And with Impervious out for foreseeable future, that mare's division definitely has opened up a bit. Obviously, we have Allegory the Vassie there as well. But Dina Blue is probably a quicker mare than Allegory and probably jumps a bit slicker as well. So, she's definitely going to be top of the pile come those mares chases.
The winning start of offences for Grange Clare West, who he looks exciting.
Yeah, look, he came to us with a very big price tag. He came to us from Gordon's, and he won his bumper very well. And he was very impressive in his maiden hurdle last year in Navan. And then he just kind of seemed to lose his way a bit. We never really got him back to, his last run was obviously quite good, but we never maybe got him to where we thought we would last season. So that was a very good start. I think that was the beginner chases this time of year in Ireland. They're all essentially graded races. And I think the two fences in the straight being out wasn't a help to him. I think he jumped very well. He is presenting, so I do think probably nicer ground does help him. And the ground in Naas was far from heavy. It was lovely soft ground, nice winter ground, and I think he handles that well. But perhaps real heavy ground isn't what he wants. So hopefully we can get him to fulfill his potential this year. But last year was disappointing overall. But he is a fine big presenting horse, and hopefully chases can help him fulfill his potential.
Now, Patrick, you weren't a Border, but how pleased were you to see the bumper team up and running with a win at Naas as well? She did it nicely.
She did, yeah. So obviously well used to Jodie coming flying by me. I know Shaving obviously assisted at Allaho, and she just needed to run. She'd been a bit fragile before last season, and I think she'll improve considerably further. And she just blew up when we quickened. I thought the performance of the winner could be marked up considerably. She was quite keen all the way. She obviously pulled Jodie, slowly to the front. Jodie kept her control, but she was doing more than Jodie wanted all the way. And she came past me about halfway. I thought to myself, well, she can keep going, pulling like that. But she did. So she obviously has huge natural ability, and a little bit like Shaving. We think she was far from cherry ripe. She's had her own issues, and I would think there's a lot of improvement to come from her. So I think that was a huge performance, and one that might slip under the radar perhaps.
And Potter, just a quick line at the weekend: Cheltenham, the Greatwood hurdle on Sunday. An interesting new recruit for the yard at the foot of the weights in only a matter of time. What can you tell us about him?
Yeah, nice horse. He beat me in the storage room, but we flashed over the line together in a bumper and punch on during the summer on a horse called I Will Be Bay. And I just rang Paul afterwards, and I said, at the time our horses were winning left, right, and centre in bumpers. I think we had something like a 60 or 70% strike rate, and I thought he was the best of our summer bumper horses. And I just said, if this horse is able to go with us, he's probably worth following. So Paul did follow him, and he ended up purchasing him. And obviously he's moved to us now from Boots Madden, but Boots recommended him highly. It's a family they've had a lot of success with, so Boots thinks the world of him. Look, we've only had him 3 months. He ran at the start of August for Boots, and we thought we'd aim for a big handicap and get in hopefully at the bottom of the weights. We took our chance of not running and winning, and we managed to get in just a pound above the bottom of the weight, not out of the handicap, so that's ideal. But look, it's a big ask. We only have him 3 months. It's his first run for us. We be thinking if he can finish in the money, that he can continue to improve. His price at the moment is a silly price, but I can understand why he is that price. But we do expect him to run well. But again, I think I'd like to think he should continue to improve throughout the season. He's only here 3 months, but he's doing everything right at home.
Okay, thanks to Patrick and to David. So this Saturday, it's a Paddy Power Gold Cup at Cheltenham. In 2007, the Paddy Power Gold Cup at Cheltenham was won by Lanark Teak. In them days, I was assistant trainer to Ferdy Murphy. Less about me, more about Lanark Teak's jockey, Graham Lee. I first met Graham as an 11-year-old boy when he won in Blushing Pearl at Navan. A few years later, when I was old enough, I travelled over the Irish Sea to be a national jockey like Graham. I think it's fair to say that one of our careers took off slightly better than the others. But Graham had to work hard and be dedicated, and dedicated he was. It took a while, but the good horses came. Tullymurray Tough, probably the first, for his the late great Malcolm Jefferson. After that, Ballyburrasher won a Charlie Hall Chase, and then the ball started rolling. No Refuge, Arcades and Ingles Drever saw him leading rider at the Cheltenham Festival. He went to Aintree, he won a race called the Grand National on Amberley House. Other highlights, many of them. He went back to his native Ireland, walked from his family home to win the Galway Hurdle on Overturn and Defiant Top Weight. Loads more success this side of the RFC, the likes of Calary King, Aces 4, etc., etc. Hutweld, who 7 days after winning the Scottish Grand National, won the Bet365 at Sandown. Then turned his attention to the flat after riding over 1,000 winners, jumping in a truly vintage era as well. The flat was similar. Lots of successes. Trip to Paris, won the Ascot Gold Cup, Group 1 success, and 3 years later, more Group 1 success with Alpha Delphini winning the Nunthorpe at York. Unfortunately, last Friday, after a fall of Ben McDooey at Newcastle, Graham is poor, very poorly, with life-changing injuries. So, if you back the winner of the Paddy Power Gold Cup this Saturday, or if you don't back the winner of the Paddy Power Gold Cup this Saturday, keep him in your thoughts. And his family, his wife Becky, his kids Amy and Robbie, and his extended family. Thank you.